to map 6 and is almost knocking on that door. So look to teams like Noobs, Intex, Soka, Aiden, Mirai, FIFA. They can do the same thing this game if they decide to win, and Biffle and Co, they kind of fall out early. So those are a lot of things that I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, anything can happen, but the game has started. We are still only on match point for Biffle and Shifty. Tiff, Enigma, take it away.
Oh, let's do it. I'm so excited. Enigma, one more map 6. It could end here, or it could not. Bredman and Jowo, they just need 4 points, and they're going to be right there with Biffle and Shifty.
Absolutely. So again, just for anyone who's perhaps just joining us or still unsure at this point, the way this tournament works is once teams are beyond the 100-point threshold, once they have picked up that number of points, you then are able to win the whole tournament by winning a map. But if you win maps before that, you just continue on, you get your points, they add to your leaderboard, you continue moving on forward. Currently, Biffle and Shifty are the only teams beyond 100 points. If they win this map now, the tournament's done. Dusted. They win it, and the rest of the leaderboard freezes. However, if anyone else wins, we continue on through the afternoon.
And here we go. A little bit of a contest over here by this stronghold. Soka and Skullface able to grab the knock and the full onto one. Carry on forward. They'd like to cap this. You can see the black site key is going to be there as well. That's a knock and a kill onto Testy. Likely looking for Jared FPS, that teammate. Oh, the taps come in, and you're fighting on the high ground here on this little rift. Can they make it happen? No plates, calling in the mortar. They're like, nah, bro, you're not getting away. We need every single point to matter.
And I believe that may have been a reinforcement coming in from somewhere, but the mortar strike's now going to back them off instead. You got to be careful because the stronghold is captured behind them. Speaking of strongholds, Clamp is trying to push through the door to contest this one. Whoever was inside of it has bounced out the other side, where Mirai is waiting, but apparently hasn't spotted the opponent that was here. And Mirai in trouble. You can hear him, but picks up Smit, goes absolutely nuts in the comms, and you can tell that's a huge moment for them starting off their the map here. A chance to get themselves their loadout from this stronghold and set themselves up for the rest of the game.
It's kind of a dangerous one to try and cap as well, because if you just lay down in the water, you're not really going to get clean sights on them. But killers, you know, typically found themselves in Hydro, challenging Biffle and Shifty early on, have actually moved out and now become fodder for Tommy and Noobs, a team that wants to get to that 100-point threshold, but is going to need a solid 46 points? 46 points this game?
44?
44? Math is hard.
Something?
North of 40? I'm not doing math
I tell you
right
what,
now.
though, how unlucky are you if earlier on in the afternoon you were landing next to Biffle and Shifty, and you've decided, all right, we'll change strats and move away, and then the next thing you run into is Tommy and Noobs. That is a sour afternoon. That's not a fun feeling to be running into teams of that quality. Team Noobs, by the way, currently sitting in third and taking control of that H5 zone, and it looks like Clamp and Mirai did indeed manage to capture the stronghold. You can see that UAV pinging, loadouts in hand, and setting themselves up. And this area is fantastic for collecting loot as well as cash. You can really get yourself some stuff together. The one thing that always throws me off here, and you were mentioning it a moment ago, the water. The amount of times I get myself killed in it.
Ooh, E-Bates taking a big win on Aiden in the Gulag. Aiden is just not having some good gulags back to back to back, and it's kind of making their games a little more stressful. We're going to run it back from E-Bates POV there. Just aggressively pushes forward, and that's going to be the first kill on the board for them. But checking back in Intex and Believe.
You can buy the other players as well.
Grabbing everything that they need over here towards Oil. Now, towards the start of the game, we did check in with Biffle and Shifty. Notice anything different? They didn't go Fortress again, that's for sure. I think they resorted back and went to Hydro. And here they are, still in Hydro, taking a team wipe onto Zepti's team.
Yeah, so last time out, I mean, we've kind of back and forth about whether or not teams will change their strategy when they hit match point. I believe Shifty and Biffle decided to make that call, head on over to Fortress instead, and yeah, it didn't work for them, right? They get cleaned up when trying to capture the stronghold, and then from there, it was just a bit of a blender situation. They constantly felt like they were in last-ditch scenarios. Because of their quality, they managed to survive through quite a few of them, but when you get that many skill checks coming on through, it's difficult to ask yourself to continually pull them off. And they did eventually fall. But back to Zarqwa, an area that they know that they can dominate. They know all the rotations out of here, and they'll feel very comfortable being back in this spot.
Yeah, it's just looking very much textbook to the earlier games. And I think you just don't want to shake things up too much because you think of the rotations out of Hydro is completely different from rotating out of Fortress. Now, jumping back over here, Exact and 4 and Jace. 4 and Jace gets cleaned up. We have the ring at our back. We're going to double down. It's not closing just yet. Hit that buy, and now I'm going to focus on rotation because he should be able to get back down and grab loadout and hit the rotate.
The only thing is here is whatever team that was trying to engage you earlier on, waiting to hold you and pluck you out of the sky. Well, Jace is going to call in a couple of opponents. And Exact is looking to provide cover fire over them. And lights up one, manages to get the down and will indeed get the kill. So more people nearby. It sounds like other buys or maybe reinforcement flares coming on in. There's also going to be precision airstrikes nearby. Very busy for that duo.
It's gonna be a wild rotate. A lot of those teams are just gonna get held up fighting each other and not really prioritizing their position in that next zone. But Tommy and Noobs, a team, the vying, we said it, 44 plus points they need to get in this game. Noobs on 1, but they've got a vehicle and they're gonna have to hit that rotation because all the circles are gonna start to converge. You can see they're all split for now. But where are we heading? Well, not too far away, actually.
Yeah, it looks like we've actually got ourselves a split zone here. By the way, I've realized how bad our math is here, Tiff. It's actually 34 points, not 44. So,
oh my gosh.
Again, that's why we leave it to the people in the back, right? They're so much better at this than us. But yeah, split zone then. So that's going to make some interesting calls for various teams because the split zone then is going to force essentially pockets of players into the same area. You can see a re-split as well. So slightly north of center, slightly southeast, slightly southwest. And various teams now going to be forced towards each other and not essentially able to pick and choose where they want to take fights.
Oh, Bredman on 3 eliminations. This should do it for him if he can win this, but not gonna take that win. Unfortunately, does lose the Gulag. Braxton just simply better in this moment. Question is Jowo alive? Did they hit that 100 points? Are they hitting the threshold that they need? So when it comes to map number 7, they are going to be okay. But Intex believe taking to the sky, trying to decide which circle we want to be in.
Yeah, that would be a frustrating situation for Bredman and Joe if they managed to win back-to-back maps, and then while just 5.4 points away from the 100-point threshold for match point, they then fall before they manage to get it. That would be a difficult one to explain. And yeah, the Mexican squad here just assessing the lay of the land. Where can they put themselves down to take some fights, and perhaps looking at the high ground of Observatory here. Well, the UAV is going to come on in, so it'll let them know if there are any opponents here.
Taking some time, playing it safe. If what I am getting is correct from behind the scenes, I do not believe that Bredman and Jowo were able to hit that 100-point threshold.
Oh my.
That is just absolutely gut-wrenching for them. That was the do-or-die Gulag that unfortunately was not enough for them.
That is indeed brutal. So the only question is, are Biffle and Shifty doing okay? Last we saw them, they were doing well at Hydro, getting themselves set up. Going to move on over instead to Soka and Skullface. Now, we've spoken about it. These two have been warming themselves up through the afternoon. Slow start, but looking really good at moving themselves up the leaderboard. And that's a great knock onto Zero, a team that have been struggling over the last couple of maps. Soka wants to push the equation. Skullface looking to cover over.
They're already knowing exactly who they're going up against, grabbing that res. This is why medvests are so important, that quick res, getting your teammate back up on their feet, ready to fight. Skullface and Soka now in the stairway, playing the audio cues.
Hey, mate, he's trying to run at me, Hold on, Logan.
How do you play this, though, if you're Soka and Skullface? Well, actually, the opposing players are going to come to you and, well, manages to get out. And the thing is with Soka, he didn't have Skullface close enough to really provide him backup in the stairwell, so he backs on off, reassesses the situation. Yeah. Zero and Louis both losing quite a few plates there. You got to be careful in those situations as well. If you are the team trying to aggress, it's very easy to body stack, meaning that you're essentially shooting your teammate in the back. Those bullets don't go through, but the opposition manages to shoot through both of you. Worst case scenario indeed, but can easily happen in tight spaces like that.
He's really tough because Zero and Louis CM are playing just neck and neck right on top of each other. And Soka and Skullface, they're split. You can see right here, just on the mini map, Skullface is about at the other edge of this building, easily able to kind of reunite and get closer. But they do play a little more separated, and that's okay, right? You play your life. If one player goes down, that gives you a little bit of an extra inch to try to kind of get out of dodge and hit that buy station. But this is a very typical play style for them, especially since we've seen them in so many 2v2 style tournaments. You kind of have to play your life and act as if you're a solo in that. But when it's coming down to the wire here, you've got to lay it on the line, and Super Evan cleans up that gulag nicely.
Yeah, does a beautiful job there. Snapshot tags, and then he assesses the reposition. Super Evan not happy about something, but will indeed be coming back in, looking for a place to put himself. I wouldn't recommend anywhere that is currently covered by a UAV tower or a stronghold. So you're probably talking far side of the circle, maybe port. Hopefully that's a bit quieter, somewhere where you can lay low, get all of your equipment back in, your money back in, and your teammate Intex and Believe then
He's looking at me. He's looking at me. He just looked at me.
calling out whoever it is they're up against, saying they don't believe it's anyone good.
I just hear he's looking at me. He's looking at me. Yeah, just take him out. If he's looking at you, done. That just goes to show you right then and there, you have to eliminate them. But I think you said Super Evan wasn't really necessarily happy about something. I think it's because he kind of spawned back in from the gulag and was already in the gas. So his health was starting to tick away before he could even get closely. So it's rather unfortunate for that one.
Yeah, that's a difficult one to justify. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
That's fair.
Intex, I believe, here, going to hit out this buy station. You've already got Selfs, maybe going for some gas mask. Can't tell exactly with Soka and Skullface. Looks like they've actually gotten together here.
He's lurking. Right here.
Comms are excited. You can hear it in their voices. Soka ready to push this one a little bit. Skullface is going to squeeze it from the other side. So looking to set up a pinch here on whichever team's below.
Skullface, though, just gets absolutely fried. Focuses, making sure he's plating up to full health. There's no real urgency here, but you see where the circles are starting to merge. They have to pull due left. You just have to send it. So now if you can get ahead of the team that was essentially in front of you, it's not going to be a bad shout, right? But Shifty and Biffle, no eliminations, right? They just have to play their life. And when I say no eliminations, it's just Biffle. It doesn't have any eliminations. Shifty could have, who knows? I mean, 14 alone just in map 1 when they put up that 40+ point game. But they have to play the edge of Hydro here. They've been found out.
Yeah, gas catches Biffle straight in the face, and Semtex catches him a little bit as well. Burns through a couple of plays. You have the high ground here if you are Biffle. Shifty also not very far away. Perhaps on the roof behind him, and spot out players. You hear the call out, but high alert goes wild. There's someone in Shifty's direction. The problem is here, if you are Biffle and Shifty, you're on the edge of zone. I think that UAV call is a good one. Assess the lay of the land and whatever rotation you've got to make next.
The issue with this is Biffle has elected to play high alert instead of bird's eye. So if there are any potential ghosted players surrounding him or players that have kind of that stealth vest, they're not going to show up on him. Now, granted, most people don't play ghost in these custom tournaments. They'll elect either go high alert or bird's eye, but Believe not able to get out of that situation, unfortunate.
Does still have his gulag, though, coming up against Blade. And Blade is a player I've been asking a bit more of recently. The solo YOLO winner in 2022 in Europe, as well as winning the World Series with his trio. He's backed on down by Believe here, who throws out his snapshot, hits absolutely nothing. Molotov still available, and will check his right inside and tags, but only slightly. Blade surviving most of the damage for now.
It's a good information check there with the Molotov. This weapon's gonna need to be up close and personal because it's just atrocious. That kind of gets that canted aim. Tries to jump. Not able to sight Blade just yet. A little game of cat and mouse here. Push comes to shove, but Blade takes the win on Believe. So Intex, where are you at? You need to keep this team alive, but Soka, Skullface, barrel forward, look towards getting into that next circle. But still, Soka only has 1 elimination so far.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it felt like Soka and Skullface have been involved in a lot so far, but perhaps finishing absolutely nothing and purely trading blows with opponents rather than finishing them off. Gonna head back on over to the team currently on match point. Again, if Biffle and Shifty win this map, the tournament is done. They are the champions. Anyway, we've been speaking a little bit about Christmas tree buff. Look at that trophy replica on the beanbag.
I'm telling you.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's like back there.
As you said, very stoic, Biffle. You wouldn't believe that they're potentially on the corner here of winning the $70,000 Al Mazrah Last Hurrah.
I mean, it's just another day in the office for them, right? Like, literally, you're just taking every major tournament throughout the last few months, but getting updates, FIFA's team's fully eliminated, Aiden's team fully eliminated. So this is going to open the door for a lot of those teams that are kind of sitting in the neighborhood of 40 to 60 points to try and climb up that leaderboard and look for that hundreds. And Mirai, Goat Clamp, you know, they've been in the mix all day. Now that we've got 25 teams left, I'd imagine once these circles all come together into the like late game, we're gonna see a lot of teams fall.
As these circles start to compress players together, force them through bottlenecks, through POIs. Biffle has managed to duck inside the donut building, hits the refill, does have a buy station nearby if he requires it, but actually feeling some pressure. Shifty not nearby, in fact looking in a different direction, so not overly concerned with whatever it is that Biffle's currently dealing with. Biffle, by the way, on 0 kills, so they have hit the same landing spot this time out, but clearly considerably less aggressive, being hunted by an opposing team. 3-star bounty on their heads, and also hunting down J-Tech, who's over the other side of this patch of grass.
Yeah, but I like Shifty being just a little bit separate from Biffle, especially because Biffle does have the bounty on his head, right? They have flare, so they're going to be totally fine should something happen, but you don't want to play on top of each other and run the risk of going out. But going out, Noobs, what are you doing? Taking through, just tunneling in. Tommy, though, may fall here, does do that, and Noobs is going to have to prioritize throwing it down, but able to grab the top so Tommy can save that self-res.
They're just stuck between, I can't tell if this is two different teams entirely or two different players just raining hell. Noob's getting shot from one side, Tommy getting shot from the other. They have managed to pick Tommy back up without burning through the self. That's huge, but the plates are starting to run low, and you've got to consider your escape routes from here. There aren't very many. There are no smokes available on Noob, so I'm curious about Tommy's situation there. Does he have anything that's going to let them escape? Well, as we move on over to Biffle, he goes down to Soka. Was that the team that was hunting them down? Is that the bounty picked up? Well, as he comes straight back in from the reinforcement flare, he's going to have to play Overwatch and call everything out for his teammate who's still on the ground.
You know, I kind of like the fact that they just immediately brought him back with a flare because they lose that bounty. You don't have to go through and have their location being scouted throughout.
Very true.
They do lose their building. They lose that buy station they're holding, and now he has to get back on the ground, find his weapons. But it's not over yet. Tommy getting that wipe onto Juki's. So now it looks like they're able to clear out their side of the building, but Swag and Booyah, they're going under fire.
Indeed, not been the best afternoon for this duo so far, and as Booyah falls, can Swag stay up, and we move on over back to the Mexican squad. Clamp falls, caught by Semtex, still has just enough to pop off his self-revive. Will he manage to get back up? Soka now pushing up this rock face with Skullface. There's a player down to their right, there's two players directly in front of them and a couple floating above. PA is going to move them away. They've got to rotate on up this hill. Very little cover available. A dangerous spot for this duo, and they are picked up by the Precision.
Precisions, mortars, everything going on, and just like that, Noobs takes down Biffle. That will be a full team wipe for them, and unfortunate, we go again, Enigma.
We do. GG, no re. We are... If you're Biffle there, that's the first bit of emotion I've seen out of him all day. Looks on over to his camera, not best impressed. They will go out in 19th. The more passive playstyle that they've had this time round, perhaps not working for them. Maybe they do need to just go back to the exact same playstyle they had earlier on. You know, a duo that love to get aggressive, and well, the passive play hasn't worked, and there's a lot of comms here frantic. There's a player coming on out of this building, and as the Mexican side try and line them up, the problem is they've no gas mask, so they've got to back on off, and it's the worst timing. Mirai falls.
Clamp hitting the flare, throwing the nades, watching the back, able to connect with that big Semtex right there, but you have to play it forward. Thankfully, Mirai in the air is going to be able to at least give comms for Clamp, and he just keeps barreling. Eighth isn't going to be able to do anything, just a few bits further until he can make into that next circle. We're taking towards the high ground, diving into the water. I love the rotation.
Yeah, great play indeed. Manages to use that smoke grenade that was there as cover. Noobs gets caught going up the ladder. That was a weird engagement as either Smixy or Raul falls. Destroy will clean up Noobs. There's I think there's several teams all in that location. Tommy coming back down, but that is a very difficult spot for the squad that was sitting in fourth coming into this passage of play, and drones absolutely everywhere. We're on board with Braxton and Super Evan, seeing if they can wrap this one off. There are 8 teams left, 13 players, 5 kills currently for Super Ev.
A big one for them. Smixy and Echo constantly in the mix this time, finding themselves in the top 7. 3 eliminations for Smixy. Echo, Smixy in tangent, taking down Super Evan. Braxton as well, making their way. That's one more team, and they've got a good shout line here.
High ground it as well for any players down to their right is going to be absolutely beautiful. Picking off these floats, but you got to be very careful. If you're worried about a player to your left here, you don't want them to catch you shooting birds out of the sky, essentially. And Smixy just continuing to rain down bullets. Get as many as you can. We're down to our final 3, 5 players remaining.
Yo, come on. 1 bullet. He's literally one. Able to grab the team wipe onto Empathy, but Echo does drop down, runs out of the gas mask, and pushes a little bit further. It's all going to be on the hands of Smixy. A 1v2. She gets the flare, so Echo from the air. He needs to drop down as soon as quickly and just grab a weapon, but she falls. 14 eliminations for them.
I fell down the mountain trying to flare you.
Yes, you did, Smixy. She unfortunately tries to run back up that mountain, but as we all know, anyone that has played Warzone, anyone that has played
in the water.
the DMZ is well aware that you really struggle to get back up the rock faces. Echo is gonna just bleed out in the gas. 9 kills for himself. I believe Smixy's on around 6 or so, around 15 kills for that duo. You hear the celebrations. That will indeed propel them up the leaderboard. It's been a difficult afternoon up until that point for them.
I respect it, right? Echo didn't want to give another point to potentially have that multiplied with that 2x to the team. So congratulations. She's happy. She still gets that 1.8x multiplier. But Team Clown, I mean, look, do what you got to do. Take that dub.
25.2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a smart play out of Echo doesn't give up the extra 2 points that would have been essentially for the team. Then I believe it's Team Clown that come on through and take the victory there. And just coming back, I guess, then away from this whole end phase, but coming back to the fact that Biffle and